Hello, my lovely Marshall blenders. How are you? How are you? Hey, happy Friday. My trusty blanket is here with me. So let's talk a little bit about the hair feeling stripped. What is stripped? So the term stripped originally is applied to hair that is getting prepared for a color service. And the reason for that is because you want to strip out, as in remove, as much of the color molecules inside of the hair so that you can then put in the new color. It's kind of like in a house. Have you ever seen a person who moves into a new apartment or a new house and there's a paint that's on the wall that you don't want? So what do? What is it called? Ding, 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 ding. Yes, you got it. It's you strip out the old paint to put on a primer and then a new paint. Same thing. But what happens is that there are some shampoos that people feel that strips their hair of natural oils or moisture or hydration. So what happens in this case? So guys, it's called pH, potential hydrogen, right? So what happens in the body, the skin and the hair are made up of essentially the same thing, and the pH of that is either 4.4 or 5.5. So it's from 4.5 to 5.5. Correction. So it's from 4.5 to 5.5. And that actually falls in the lines of acidic. So our skin and our hair actually, if it were to be measured on the pH scale, which is from 1 to 14, you know, if you want to say 0, but from 1 to 14, it's on the more acidic side. So not all shampoos are pH balanced to what your hair is. So if it's alkaline, which means 7 or above, but if relative to 4.5, 5.5, if it's above the 5.5, then you can consider it alkaline to the hair. And so if it's above that pH, then what happens is that the cuticle of the hair starts to open up, right? Starts to open up. And so once that cuticle of the hair starts to open up, what can come out of the hair? Let me hear you. Did you say oil and hydration and moisture? You're correct. So that's what happens. The pH in the shampoo is so high, or not so high like, oh my God, but it's higher than the pH of hair, that then your cuticle is opened. Some might say blown open if it's too high, then the moisture comes out. So hair being stripped is not the same as hair being dry. Hair being dry means that the cuticle's already blown up, so therefore moisture cannot go in and stay. Hydration cannot go in and stay. So you have to actually hydrate and then seal it to keep it. So so that's the basic thing. When you're buying a shampoo, you can look to see if it's pH balanced. Most of the times you don't have to be a scientist, you don't have to be a professional. The shampoo will say that it's pH balanced to hair, or it'll say the numbers 4.5 to 5.5. As long as you see pH balanced or 4.5 to 5.5, you're good. Most professional shampoos are pH balanced. Okay? So that's essentially one thing that I was thinking about. So now let's talk about so just to be clear, stripping the hair is a process. It's a process. So it's not the same as dry hair. Stripping the hair and not hydrating and moisturizing leads to dry hair, which leads to the hair becoming brittle, which leads to the hair breaking off. That's just the rule. If you strip your hair and you don't rehydrate and moisturize and seal it, it's going to become dry and brittle. therefore it will snap off. So let's say your hair is dry and damaged and brittle, just look on the bottle of the shampoo and conditioner that it says for dry and damaged hair. It's really simple. Whether if it's a professional shampoo or a regular commercial shampoo, if it says for dry and damaged hair, then that's the one you want to buy. Why is that? Because it'll have the oils and the moisturizers and the hydrators that the hair needs to be not dry. Okay? So essentially what I wanted to talk about was if you want to blow your hair out or press it and for it to have volume, because sometimes people say, oh my goodness, the reason why I don't like using the flat iron is because my hair will lay flat, on my head, and I like to have body and I like to have movement. So you can have that. The idea is essentially use products that are made for volume. You know my secret to always having really good hair is you want to chelate. So Formula 7 from Mizani is for me the best chelator. So first you chelate. Why do you want to chelate? Okay, so let me show you something. Let me learn you something. So the hair has 3 layers. Let's say that this metallic part is what's called the medulla. The medulla, right? The middle. So over the middle of the hair, which is very thin, very thin. Not every hair has it. Blonde people don't really have it, but most hairs, have it. So then this, right? Then you have the cortex. The cortex goes over that. And inside the space between the medulla and the cortex is where the hair actually lives. Okay? That's where all the molecules live. That's where the color is, that's where the pigment is, and that's where the hair's health is. Okay? So inside here is where the protein is. This is where the, right, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, and did I say C is carbon, O is oxygen, H is hydrogen, N is nitrogen, and S is sulfur. So those are the 5 things that are used to create the hair, right? And now from this outer part comes something called a cuticle. So the cuticle layer, the purpose of the cuticle layer, and I'm gonna say it's kind of like this, if you can kind of imagine, right? You see how like little things stick up? Well, essentially what you want to happen here, is for this, instead of standing up, you want it to lie flat. Right? So imagine that grows out of the cortex. That's called the cuticle, right? You want the cuticle to lie flat. And if it lies flat, then things can't go in and they can't go out. So if inside of here is hydration, moisture, protein, health, then the cuticle layer lies flat. Can it go out of there? Not necessarily. But if you use a shampoo that is more alkaline, right, than the 4.5 or 5.5 pH of the hair, then what happens is that cuticle layer will start to lift. And as it lifts, what goes out? Right? So now the idea is, okay, let's say you strip the hair. You did everything you had to do, right? Let's say it's a color or whatever it was. But in this case, you strip the hair with a shampoo and you don't use a conditioner or a mask that is made to hydrate the hair. Then guess what? The hair stays stripped. And that's what becomes brittle. So after you use something that feels like it's stripped, go in with a hydrating and moisturizing product. How do you know it's hydrating and moisturizing? You look at the bottle. It'll say hydrating and moisturizing, okay? So I know that there are people who really go in on the ingredients. I do. But you don't have to know rocket science. The bottles tell you, as long as you're buying it from the right place, the right vendor, then it'll do what it promises. So now when I go into creating volume for the hair, I chelate. Why do I like using this one? Because this one doesn't strip the hair of its hydration. To the contrary, it actually has emollients and products, elements in it that go into the cortex and hydrate and moisturize the hair as it's removing the bad stuff. So after I've chelated the hair, I like to go in with Redken's. In this case, it's the High Rise Volume. Redken, I love Redken's products for volume. So that one has its conditioner, and it also has its product that follows with it, which is the High Rise Volume Duo Volumizer for high lift and hold. So you realize this one says it has lift and hold. So you're not going to silk press the hair when it has this. What you will do is do a really good blowout, and then you can go with the curling iron. The reason for that is because it does provide hold. So this, the High Rise, paired with Redken's Guts 10 at the root. At the root. It comes out like a foam. It's not it comes out like a foam. It's almost like a mousse. Alright? So you can choose to spray it in your hand. Spray it in your hand and go into the person's scalp. Or you can choose to section the hairspray, section the hairspray, section the hairspray. And what I do after this is then, after I've applied that to the root, I've applied this to the mid shaft, I will go in with something that is a little bit silkening. Okay? So are those the only products I like to use for volume? No. There's another line called Living Proof Full Thickening Cream. Living Proof's Full Thickening Cream. I like this one. I can use this one for a silk press, and also Kenra Platinum Thickening Glaze. And I can use this one also if I'm gonna do a silk press. Rusk has a thicker. I can use this one if I'm gonna do a silk press. The Rusk's thick, because it is a texture amplifier. If used lightly, you can use it for a silk press. If used heavily, then you would go about it the same way you would do with the Guts 10. The other thing I like to use if I'm going to do the silk press, obviously, is Bio Silk Protein and Kenra's Platinum Silkening Gloss. So those are the things I would essentially use for a voluminous silk press or a voluminous blowout and curling iron. Other shampoos that I believe do the same thing after it's chelated, I like to use the Redken All Soft because it is moisturizing, but it does create this softness to the hair that allows the volume to remain for days. The other one that I like to use is the Redken Extreme. Why do I like the Redken Extreme? This one is a repair-based shampoo and conditioner. So it essentially repairs the hair with proteins, and it helps to prevent snapping and breakage. So it's a really good one to follow up with. And then you'll be surprised. One of the hairsprays I like to use is L'Oreal's Boost It High Lift Creation Spray. I like it because it's first off, it doesn't stink. And if you'll notice, I'm able to move and there's no tack. There's no tack. So it'll give you a hold. It says number 3 hold, like a level 3 hold, a medium hold. It'll give you a hold to the hair that you can spray to hold it, and it'll do good. It smells really good. And if the person chooses to comb it out, the volume remains. The molecules of the products are not so heavy that no lift can occur. Okay? So that's essentially the things I like to use. And of course, you guys know I love the biotin shampoo. So you can either use the biotin shampoo or the chelating shampoo first, and then you follow up with whichever one of the products. But of course, for volume, I always recommend the Redken. What do you guys use for volume? Share with me. Let me know. I'd like to find out. All right. So, oh yeah, this is my little mannequin. This is Bramantha. She's rocking her hair a little bit different today. She says she wants to show the dimension in that hair. I recorded what I did to her hair to create this. This is actually the back combed forward. Want to see her face? There she goes. Yeah, so that's just the back with all the dimension. This is Blissful Blue and a lavender from Pravana's Chroma Silk line. I lightened her hair up to like a level 9, 10 and toned it with this. I really like the dimension. So that was it. And yes, if you're asking, oops, Bramantha just fell. Yes, I finally did open the Cheeto bag. So I hope everyone is staying safe, staying indoors, going out only if necessary, and finding positive things to do to keep yourself entertained. Don't become stagnant. This is not a time for stagnation. This is a time for growth. This is a time for improvement. This is a time for you to ultimately figure out how to be who you want to be. A lot of times you gotta read, research. Fortunately, we live in the time of YouTube and Google where you can research things and see a video about it. So do that. All right, guys? So, goodbye, my lovely Marshall Blanders. Mom just gave me a look. See you soon. See ya.